Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mr. Halliday. We're going to be doing a reading lesson today, and I'm super excited. Let's start out with our letter of the day, which is the letter Y. That's right, the letter Y. It's a great letter. Here is the uppercase version of the letter Y, and this is the lowercase version of the letter Y, and this is Yancey Yak. Yancey Yak, and he says, ya, ya, ya. So it's like in yellow or yes, ya. Very good. You guys are doing fantastic. Okay, let's do another digression before we start our story. How about sight words? I'm going to give you a sight word, and then I'm going to ask you what word it is. Are you ready? Okay. That's right. The sight word is in. Good job. That's right. The sight word is am. That's right. The sight word is the. Good job. Okay. That's right. Very good. And last one. That's right. The sight word is I. Excellent. You guys are doing fantastic. These are just the beginnings of reading, and I really want to do these in every lesson. And I'm super excited about them. Oh, let's not close my camera. So today and this week and next week, we're starting our Apple unit, which is super exciting. It's something that I really like doing. We're going to, hear about the life cycle of the apple and some different stories about apples. So we're going to be talking about Johnny Appleseed today, which is a great story. And I hope you guys really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and dive into our reading. So let's see. This is our title page, right? And this is our title, Johnny Appleseed, My Story. Excellent job. Look at that. All right. It's going to be as told by David L. Harrison, so he wrote all the words for us, and then illustrated by Mike Winuoka. Mike Winuoka is the person who did all the illustrations or the drawings in this, okay? This is our front cover, this is our spine, and this is our back cover. You guys knew that. That's excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and start reading. Johnny Appleseed, My Story. Oh, before I get started, I want you guys to make sure that you're listening for the characters and the setting in this story. Those are very important. So that's what we're going to talk about after we're done. Characters and setting. Excellent. Okay. Someone is coming, Beth yelled. It was a lean, wiry man with pep in his step. Mama, Papa, cried Will. It's Johnny. It was Johnny Appleseed. Papa stopped chopping wood. Johnny Appleseed is always welcome, Papa said. He always has a good tale to tell, Johnny smiled and waved hello. Mama invited him to stay for supper. Beth and Will were so excited they jumped up and down. Tell us a story, they begged. Johnny scratched his chin. His eyes were kind. You children are growing like tree sprouts, he said. I will tell you a story. After, I will help your papa chop wood. Johnny was good with an axe. He chopped and chopped. At dinner, Johnny ate all he could. He told Mama, I walked 20 miles to get here. Your pie was worth every step. He winked at Beth and Will. Now for a story, he said. Beth and Will sat on the floor. They loved stories. Johnny began like this. My real name is John Chapman. I grew up in a big family. 10 kids. We were noisy and raggedy, always barefoot, and we were as hungry as bear cubs in spring. Oh, that's hungry. To be by myself, I would head for the woods. I knew the trees and rivers for miles. More and more, the woods felt like home. After school, I worked to help my family. But when I was old enough, I set out on my own. I packed up my gun and my hatchet. I left Massachusetts, walking west on my bare feet. Soon I came to a cider mill. They were giving away the seeds from the apples. A poor boy never passes up anything free. I filled my pack with seeds. I grinned as if those seeds were gold. But I lost that grin in a storm in Pennsylvania. I was walking up in the mountains. All at once the day turned as dark as night. The wind began to howl. It was bitter cold. Snow was soon up to my waist. If I did not do something, I would die. I made up my mind. No storm was going to be the end of me. I ripped strips from my coat to wrap my bare feet. Then I wove snowshoes from branches, and I walked right out of that storm. Wow, those are pretty cool snowshoes. Walking gave me time to think. Folks were moving west. What would they need when they got there? Apples. I would plant an orchard. I got an axe and started clearing trees. Chunk, 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 I chopped. I made the wood chips fly. Soon my first seeds took root and sprouted, so I set out west to find more land. I planted apple seeds in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. I sold sprouts to folks headed west in their wagons. I sold sprouts to settlers living in log cabins. One sprout cost 6.5 cents. Sometimes I traded sprouts for clothes or food. Some folks were too poor to trade. I gave them sprouts for free. I knew how it felt to be poor. Most folks do not know my real name. They just call me Johnny Appleseed. I still work hard taking care of my orchards. I sleep out under the stars and will wear any old clothes or hat to keep warm. Johnny held up his bare feet. But I still do not like to wear shoes, he said. Unless it is winter, I do not need them. My feet are tough. Folks say your feet are as tough as elephant hide, said Beth. So tough that a rattlesnake cannot bite through, said Will. Wow, that's tough. Johnny laughed. There are more stories about me than fleas on a dog. Folks say that I can leap over icy rivers or melt ice with my bare feet. Folks say I once met a band of men who wanted to fight me. I talked them into a chopping contest instead. Of course I won, and I tricked those rascals into helping me clear land for my new orchard. Awesome. Then there are bear stories. People say bears trust old Johnny Appleseed. Mama bears do not mind if I wrestle with their cubs. Others say I sleep with bears to keep warm on winter nights. Ugh, have you ever smelled a bear's breath? But one thing is for sure, I know a lot of Indians. Many are my friends. They have taught me their languages and how to hunt for food and how to make canoes out of hollow logs. That's really cool. Will yawned. Beth was half asleep. Johnny stood up. Time for you two to go to bed, he said, and time for me to keep walking. There is always more planting to be done. Beth and Will hugged Johnny. Next time you visit, you will have more stories to tell us, Will said. And more wood to chop, said Johnny. And more of Mama's pie to eat, Beth giggled. Papa smiled at Johnny. You look like a happy man, Papa said. Johnny smiled too. I am a happy man, he said. I have spent my life raising apple tree sprouts. Look at that. The flower turns into an apple. Very cool. Now all across the land, folks are enjoying apples from my trees, and that makes me happy. Then Johnny Appleseed waved goodbye. Bye. The end. Excellent. Well, that was a really cool book. Johnny Appleseed, my story. All right. Well, let's talk about the two things that I asked you guys to listen for. Let's talk about the characters. What were the characters in the story? Well, there was Johnny Appleseed. He was the title character. And there were the two kids. There was Will and Beth. And then there was also two more. Can you remember? One of them was Papa. I do remember that. The other one, I don't. It was Mama. Very good. Very good. That's excellent. I'm glad you guys could remember the characters. How about the setting? Where are they in this story? Let's look at the setting. That's right. They're in Mama and Papa's cabin. That's really important. Well, that's it for our character and story today. I do have 2 videos on syllables that I'd love for you guys to check out. Let's go ahead and figure out how to break up the word apple for a second as an example. So apple has 2 parts to it. And if we clap, we can kind of hear them. It's apple. So if I was to break up Johnny Appleseed, the name, and I was breaking it up into syllables, I could clap and I could say Johnny Appleseed. You hear that? So there's 2 syllables in Johnny and 3 syllables in Appleseed. I hope you guys have fun learning about syllables. All right, I'll see you next time. This is Mr. Halliday saying bye-bye.